Technically, there are 6 more days until our KvK1 is over, but practically it ended a few weeks ago. Here is the King's Land and here is the zone of our main opponent, which was also occupied by us and our allies. Northern Reaches was the zone that we started the KvK, and after a couple of weeks our first fight was about to happen in this ancient ruins against our opponent, which is Kingdom 24. And just before this ancient ruins fight, we got betrayed. And the sad part is it wasn't a random person, it was actually one of the R4s of the main alliance. When we first started the KvK, WTE Wild Templar was our main alliance, but this person got R5 in the main alliance, kicked everybody else, and started to attack cities including the Kingdom Bank. And the reason why I blur his name and his profile picture is that so we don't actually promote this guy. But the long story short, he was originally from Kingdom 24, and then when he got the chance, he migrated to our Kingdom 21, and I guess due to his high power, he managed to convince other people in the leadership to be a part of it. His account was in Kingdom 21, but his heart was still with Kingdom 24. So basically, he was an agent for the kingdom, and when the time came, he pretty much destroyed our main alliance, which gave a huge advantage to our opponent. And it wasn't just an in-game advantage, they definitely hurt our mental as well. Our kingdom tried to recover as fast as possible, and it was a day. Our very first fight against Kingdom 24 in this ancient ruins. And despite everything, we actually managed to win. And as you can see from this mail, everybody was hyped. And at that point, we still had a huge disadvantage, alliance and stats wise, but the morale of the whole kingdom went through the roof. After that, we won 2 more ancient ruins fight, and then our opponent stopped fighting for the ruins. They simply thought that for them it was a waste of resources. And then we moved on to the next zone. And it was the first zone that proper open field fighting, rallies, garrisons could have happened. The passes were unsealed in the morning, I wasn't online, I wasn't available, and I said it's okay, I can come back later in the day and I can actually stream some open field fighting. But guess what? I didn't stream, because when I got home in the evening, the fight was already over. So we won this zone as well pretty comfortably, which I think just destroyed the hope of our enemies. Then it was time for the King's Land. You may not know this, but now there are 4 different altars in the King's Land in KvK1, and somehow we won all of them. And I think our strategy was really good as well, because this was the altar that our main alliance targeted, because it was the closest one to our enemy's pass. If we could secure it, this would give us a huge advantage, and we managed to do it. And after winning altar fights back to back, the King's Land was a breeze. Yes, there were some fights around the passes, but mostly Kingdom 34-21 managed to dominate the zone, and we got an easy Great Ziggurat occupation. Now our kingdom is just simply trying to invade their zone and waiting for the passes. Because if you look at the description of our ex-main alliance, you can feel the hatred. Our 3rd city hall will be in the heart of 24 after 4 days for revenge. And that's pretty much it. Despite the fact that we lost our main alliance in a very crucial moment, getting betrayed by someone who is in the leadership, and even me receiving some hateful YouTube comments like how is your peaceful and strong kingdom now, it didn't matter. We won anyways. Shout out to fighters of Kingdom 34-21, because certainly I wasn't one of them. And the reason why I'm saying that, and by the way, I was only able to record this section like 4 days later due to some personal reasons, so I'm sorry about that. But overall, in this KvK, I had 2 options. Either fight as much as I can, use my resources to heal troops, and only do the cheapest building and research upgrades. And option number 2 was don't participate in fighting all that much. Instead, keep building our account. And as you can see, I'm upgrading the wall, and I'm doing a herbal medicine research. You guessed it right, I went with option number 2. However, it wasn't always the case. When we first started fighting, as I've explained in the first section of the video, it was here, we were in our worst possible shape. We got betrayed, lost the main alliance, and also our morale was really bad. However, with the correct strategy, we even managed to win this fight. Then we fought in the ancient ruins again, and we won again. And for the 3rd time, it wasn't even like an actual battle, it was just small skirmishes. And then we learned that the king of our opponent sent a mail to their kingdom saying that they're not going to be participating in ancient ruins anymore, and that was my first indication. And by the way, I did try to participate in these first 3 ancient ruin fights, and as I've explained, the next one was this one, and we managed to occupy the whole area, whole territory, from morning to evening, and that was my second indication. Until that time, I was going with option number 1, right? I was saving my resources, and here as you can see, I was upgrading my resource buildings to conserve some of my resources because they are so cheap to upgrade. I was upgrading my scout camp. This is the cheapest building to upgrade if you guys don't know. But I wasn't upgrading my wall. I wasn't doing this high resource cost researches. But then I told myself, there is no reason because this KvK is already over. Yes, they might try to put up a fight for Kingsland, but I don't think they will succeed, so there is no reason for me to fight, spend my resources for healing. If this KvK was remotely close, I would just keep doing what I was doing. Upgrade cheapest buildings, do the cheapest researches. But since it was won already, I decided to use my resources to build my account even more for KvK2 and do not participate in the fights. However, that wasn't of course the only reason. Reason number 2, I was too naive to think that I wouldn't need a farm account just because I spent a little bit of money in this account. And funny enough, a little bit of money is plus $1,000. But in Rise of Kingdoms, unfortunately, we have to call it a little bit compared to the amount that high spenders are spending. But it was like a slap on my face. If you want to participate in the fights consistently in Rise of Kingdoms, it doesn't matter if you're a low spender, maybe even a mid spender, you do need not one but, in my opinion, multiple farm accounts. Don't be naive like me, just build your farm account if you're restarting Rise of Kingdoms or if you don't have a farm account yet, because resources is definitely the most crucial thing when it comes to fighting. And the third reason, that was also a harsh truth, looks like you shouldn't try to main a troop type from the get-go. You know, when I first started this account, I said that okay, it's going to be pure cavalry account. So this was the only march that I was using. Minamoto with Babers. Sometimes with double C, Minamoto double C, but mostly Minamoto with Babers. And this means that I was only fighting with one march only, which limits you a lot in the field. I could have definitely messed a little bit on Charles Martel. I'm not talking about sculptures. I have enough sculptures to get him to 5-1-1-1, but I'm talking about experience, I'm talking about gold stars. I could definitely do that and pair him with Sun Tzu, for example. I could have expertise Sun Tzu and use them together, or even Björn with Charles Martel. I could have invested on Richard way earlier. As you can see, I'm gonna make a dedicated video, so make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. But I am right now getting my Richard to 5-1-1-1. It's a late decision. I will explain why I'm investing Richard the First in 2024, but I could have done it way earlier, and I could pair him with my FF flat secondary, for example. That will give me another option, a secondary march, to have a little bit more presence in the field. But long story short, all in all, that's what we got. 11 million kill points. Oh my god, this is a disaster. Yes, it was a choice. It was my decision to not participate actively because I knew that KvK was already over, so there was no point. If it was, of course, remotely closer, I wouldn't do anything. I would just keep trying to do my best, even with my one march only, but it wasn't necessary. However, the biggest downside was, since my DKP was very bad, of course, I wasn't in most of the reward lists. Maybe it was wrong, maybe it was right, but it was my decision. With the absence of a farm account and limited number of resources, I just decided to not waste my resources because KvK was over. I instead kept upgrading my main buildings and do my main researches. And if we quickly go over the other details, we are so close yet so far to VIP 14, but we will get there in like a month or so. And this was the equipment that I used on Minamoto when I tried to catch farm killers, because at a certain point they could enter our territory, kill our farmers and just run away. So I crafted specifically a full special talented windswept set to try to catch those guys, but they were too fast anyways. But our main equipment while fighting on the field was of course this, all epics with a Navarre's control and boots. Unfortunately, this was the best one that we had. But even the first day that I created this account, I always said that my goal was just getting through this KvK1 and 2 and pop off hopefully in KvK3 with all commanders are available. The plan stays the same. Yes, we need to work a lot to recover all those kill points. I will probably get almost no kill points again in KvK2 because KvK2, in my opinion, the most unfair KvK, because people can migrate to a new KvK2 kingdom with all those KvK2 commanders max, you know, full legendary gear and all that. So it's going to be even harder to do anything in KvK2, but we'll see what happens in KvK3 since this is our goal. Thank you guys so much for watching. I see you on the next one. Goodbye.